Zach Gilford and Kiele Sanchez. The love story that burned quiet and deep by top facts wasn't a whirlwind romance. It wasn't loud, messy, or splashed across every tabloid in town. But that's exactly what made the love story between Zach Gilford and Kiele Sanchez so magnetic, so quietly intense, so full of intrigue. From the moment they met, something between them felt different, not forced or rushed, but smoldering, unshakable, like heat just beneath the surface. Zach Gilford, the soft-eyed heartthrob of Friday Night Lights, had built his career on a kind of quiet charm, a gentleness that pulled people in. But off-screen, behind that calm demeanor, was a man with layers far more complicated. And when he met Kiele Sanchez, the sultry force of nature from Lost and the Glades, something unspoken ignited. There wasn't an announcement, no grand reveal. But the whispers started quickly. On set, crew members described an energy, low-key but electric. They'd speak in half-smiles and stolen glances, brushing past each other like magnets drawn to the same current. No one had to see them kiss to know they had already started to fall. Their chemistry wasn't born out of drama, it was deeper. And yet, controversy found them anyway. There were murmurs that they'd grown close while still tangled in the fallout of previous relationships. That their connection had sparked before either of them was fully ready. But maybe that's what made it so compelling. It was the kind of bond that didn't wait for timing to be perfect. It demanded to be felt, ready or not. Insiders claimed that Zach's hesitations about fame clashed with Kiele's fiery passion. He was private, guarded. She fierce and open. Together they were a paradox, a quiet storm. And in that tension, there was an intimacy that went far beyond the scripts they were handed. Some nights on set, it said, they'd vanish together for long walks.
No cameras. No entourage.
Just two souls talking in the dark, discovering pieces of each other that hadn't been touched in years. Friends called it deep, intense. The kind of bond you feel even when they're not touching. They didn't need to show it, their energy gave them away. The first time they were spotted in public as a maybe couple, it was casual. A coffee run, laughter between sips, her hand lingering just a second too long on his back. But it was enough. Fans and media began speculating. Were they dating? Living together? Was it just a fling or something far more magnetic? What followed were months of quiet sightings and unconfirmed rumors. Hotel check-ins under pseudonyms. A weekend trip to Mexico that no one photographed, only reported by a source close to the couple. There were hints of a wild side. Moments of passion that slipped through in conversations and casual red carpet glances. Zach, usually shy and reserved, seemed transformed around Kiele, looser, more dangerous in the best way. But like many love stories that simmer just below the boiling point, theirs wasn't without heartbreak. In 2015, they announced they were expecting. And then, almost as quickly, they announced that their child had been stillborn. It was a tragedy so personal, so profoundly devastating it could have broken them. For most couples, grief like that is too much. But for Zach and Kiele, it became the proof of something deeper. While others speculated they would pull apart, they quietly leaned in. It was during this time, ironically, that their love story became more intense. Though few knew it. Privately, they disappeared from the spotlight. But what happened away from the cameras was far more intimate than anything reality TV could show. It was whispered by friends that during this period, their bond turned physical in a new way. Not for pleasure or escape, but for healing. That they found each other again in long nights without words, just presence. That every moment shared was charged, emotional, and quietly burning. One friend said. They looked at each other like there was no one else left in the world. Still, there were rumors. That the pain made Kiele restless. That Zach shut down. There were quiet talks about time apart. That maybe, just maybe, they weren't meant to survive what they'd been through. But then came the shift. Years later, out of nowhere, they adopted a baby girl.
No headlines.
No big public moment. Just a quiet announcement. And suddenly their story turned again. Into something more hopeful, more real. They had built a family not out of perfection, but out of survival. That's the part no one saw coming. The fact that the same couple who had been whispered about for their intense, passionate bond had also become a symbol of endurance. Their story had always been about desire, yes, but also resilience. Some sources have claimed that the two still share a secret spot in California where they escape every few months, just the two of them. No phones, no press. It's where they go to reconnect, to reset. A cabin surrounded by trees, with a fireplace that's seen more emotion than any Hollywood set. One insider called it their sanctuary. Kiele, when asked in an interview what makes love last, simply said, "You have to choose each other every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." It was a line that echoed long after the camera stopped rolling. And Zach? He never says much. But when he does, it's in his eyes. In the way he watches her walk into a room. In the half-smile he saves just for her. Some believe there's more to their story than they've ever let on. That the passion between them was never just romantic. It was soul-level. That behind those rare interviews and hand-in-hand appearances, there's a secret history of nights filled with laughter, longing, and moments too raw for public consumption. It's rumored that a few old co-stars witnessed something between them early on. Something unspeakably tender. The way Zach would rest his hand just at her lower back, guiding her silently, protectively. Or the way she'd lean in when he talked, as if every word he said was a secret meant only for her. It wasn't showy. It was sensual in its restraint. Their love story doesn't scream. It smolders. And sometimes that's more powerful than anything loud or public. Even today, with years behind them and a child between them, their story feels unfinished. Not because it's broken, but because it continues to evolve. Like all great romances, it isn't stuck in a single chapter. It lives on in moments, the quiet kind, the kind that don't trend on Twitter but leave you breathless when you witness them. Zach Gilford and Kiele Sanchez never needed a scandal to be unforgettable. But the truth is, they've lived through the kind of love story most people wouldn't survive, and came out stronger, quieter, sexier for it. There are still those who say they see something different in the way he looks at her. That even in a room full of people, she's the only one he's tuned into. And maybe that's the real secret of their story. Not the rumors. Not the heartbreak. Not even the passion. But the fact that even now the fire hasn't gone out. It never will. This is Top Facts, where the real love stories aren't just romantic, they're unforgettable.